setting up the rule that you will not respond to negative comments, period. That is a rule. If I catch you doing it, I'll take your passwords away, I'll take you off YouTube, but you threaten them, do whatever you want, just establish that as number one. Like, you can come to me and talk about it. If something hurt your feelings, let's talk about it, but you do not respond negatively.
Hey guys, welcome back to Start Young, where we help you to raise happy and successful kids. Now in today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing Nicole Lachy, who is the mother of Makenna, who has a YouTube channel called Life with Mac. Now, Makenna was on our show talking about her career as a YouTuber, or starting out when she was so young. But after the show, I said, I really want to bring your mum in to really understand what life is like as the parents of a YouTuber. So check out this episode as I asked her so many questions around what life is like being the mother of a YouTuber. Yeah, welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
So Nicole, I had your daughter on the other week and I was like, oh my God, I need to bring you back on because it's so interesting to kind of get to know behind the scenes of what it's like to be the mother of a YouTuber. So let's go back to, day one, like what was life like and why did your daughter all of a sudden say to you, I'm going to start creating videos, or like, what was the turning point?
We actually had no idea that she had kind of started doing more YouTube and specifically ASMR, which is what she does mostly on her channel. And she decided to kind of explain it to us one day. And of course, never having heard of it before, as a mom, I'm like, Googling it. What is ASMR? Is it bad? Is it good? No idea. And, then you start looking at videos and it's people whispering and tapping. And it's like, okay, this is weird. It's kind of weird until you get used to it or you learn more about it. So it took a while for us to kind of understand or grasp the concept of what ASMR was, why she was doing it, is she too young to be doing it? But that was, oh my gosh, almost 5 years ago now. She'll be 17 next month. And so now it's totally normal for me. It's like, we'll go into a store and I'll be tapping on things to see the noises they make. And I'd become a huge part of the channel. So it's normal now, but it was definitely mind-blowing 5 years ago.
Sure. And so at that time when you said it was a bit weird, I guess, like, what was your concern about ASMR or being a YouTuber?
Well, I guess I'll answer that in two parts, because ASMR, just not knowing what it was. Like I don't live under a rock. I knew what YouTube was and that people made videos, but from what I had seen, it was always like cute cat videos or funny prank videos or makeup videos, So that in and of itself, I think, was the most difficult thing. It's just not knowing anything about it and not knowing, I had literally never heard of it before. And even to this day, some people still haven't. So you kind of explain it and it's even hard to explain. It's like, oh, that she like whispers and taps and makes noises. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
But nowadays, I think since it's been around for a while, there was a Super Bowl commercial that was, set in an ASMR style. So I think it's become, people are more familiar with what it is. So I think that was the biggest thing in the beginning, was just not knowing anything about it and feeling like I had to research a whole genre I'd never heard of before.
Yeah. So were you just afraid, like, is that something sexually? Is it something bad? Yeah. Is that what was going
Sure,
through your mind?
absolutely. And anything on the internet or just in general can be sexualized. I'm sure you know. So yes, that was absolutely a concern. We looked into that, and obviously anything can be, but in general, no, that's not what it's made for.
Yeah.
So,
And then now, what do you see now as AS? Like, when I spoke to your daughter, I kind of got this feeling that she really feels proud that she's actually adding value to people's lives. It's not just making funny sounds. So I guess, now, how do you feel about ASMR down the track now?
Sure. So it doesn't work for me. Like, I personally don't get the tingles. It doesn't work for me. I think a lot of it's annoying, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, if I'm studying or taking a test, the last thing I want to hear is people clicking or whispering. It bothers me, but truly throughout the years she's been doing it, handwritten letters from kids younger than her, around her same age, maybe even a little older than her. We have a PO box where they send letters and cards, like, you helped me so much. And I just moved to this new town and I had no friends. So I watch your best friend role play and it just makes me feel like you're my friend. And, you make my day so much better. Or, I'm really anxious, or I, get upset when I do bad on a test, but then I listen to your videos about positive affirmations and it makes me feel better. I mean, truly, like, young girls reaching out, drawing her pictures, just saying, and boys, not just girls, just saying that they've actually, their life has been changed by what she does. So yeah, that was more of the first initial response we got, which made me feel a lot better at heart about it too, where it was like, not creepy old guys writing letters to her. I mean, it was young, clearly young girls, boys, that have been influenced by her.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So talk about back then, because you were just saying I'm going to break it into two parts, and we'll talk about YouTube as well. So I guess what did you know about YouTube, and what was your concern, or did you already conceive opportunity, career opportunity for your daughter?
sure. So it didn't, I knew YouTube was out there. I knew, kids were on the platform. I wasn't that familiar with it and how it all worked. So it didn't bother me, but there's a difference between, having a video where, you know, 50, 60 people view it, and then having a viral video where millions of people have viewed it. So it, we live in Colorado. She wasn't raised, you know, in the acting industry or like being on social media as an influencer, as a model. She was just a normal girl leading a normal life. And one of her videos went viral and it kind of took off from there. So it was a learning experience. It was a learning curve for all of us, where the bigger you get, if you have a video, you're going to get tons of comments. And with those comments, and even with Makenna being so young, I don't care how confident you are, when people are saying mean things about you on the internet, that is hard to swallow when you're new. And then, of course, I have the mama bear in me where I'm just like, oh, give me that computer,
Oh my God, that's
like,
so cute. Yeah.
But again, you learn from it. There's so many things that you can implement now with comments and filters and truly blocking out the bullies and the hate. It's as simple as a click of a button, delete the comment, block the person. And I kind of explained to Makenna, at the end of the day, you have to look at that person who writes something mean and wonder why they're doing that. And instead of being mad about it, just feel sad for them, because there must be something really negative going on in their life where they sign online behind a screen and bully people that they don't know, so that took a while to learn. And she's just kind of realized, yeah, it's much quicker to just delete it, ignore it, and spend more time responding to the positive people, because it makes you feel better. It makes those people who said something positive feel better. But it was a learning curve and as much as you can say, just ignore it, when you have a child, you do worry about how that's going to impact their self-esteem, their confidence, their self-worth, that type of thing.
Yeah, and luckily she's just so strong and confident, and I really felt like she matured from the process, and it looks like you've learned something as well. So I guess just refresh with for everyone is, I guess, what are some of the successes that she's been able to achieve by pursuing her career on YouTube?
Sure. So a lot of different things. So travel would be a huge one. We've been to Mexico, Lollapalooza. We go to LA a lot, for different opportunities there. She has turned this into a business, so this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's truly kind of created a way for her to earn money, to start saving money, to have opportunities like modeling, which she really enjoys. She's done a runway show, she's done print work. So it's definitely opened up, again, doors where we weren't in this industry from the get-go, or ever planning on her doing any sort of acting. And now she's been on a couple, YouTube series. And so just things that we wouldn't have originally thought she would be able to do here in Colorado, she's done, and she's still continuing to do it. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. With this day and age, it's not about your talent anymore. You really need to kind of take control of your career. And I guess people, you'll probably have preference over people that don't have an audience. So she's got an audience already. She's a beautiful girl. And so I can just imagine why people, she's getting these opportunities for acting and modeling, etc. So well done to that. Such a great mindset for her to already see that, that like if she wanted to pursue this career, it's about having that control of her platform and being out there. So what does it take for you to support her? Like, what do you have to do behind the scenes?
That's a good question. So this is not my field of expertise, like social media or even just the internet in any way, shape, or form. My background is in veterinary medicine. So I really learned all of this on my own through researching it, watching channels, reading articles, um, looking up the importance of things like using hashtags or tagging in videos and understanding what that means and how it draws an audience and how it will create more views. We started reaching out when she went viral about getting partners. So I researched on like, how do you do that? How do you start becoming sponsored by a makeup company or a clothing company? Or it's like, it's so overwhelming. You have no idea. It's like, so you just send like a random email from a random email address and someone responds. I mean, so again, just starting with the basics, like we got a business email. We do actually own and operate it like a business now. I'd written down a few things here. I help with all the contracts that come through. She's obviously a minor, so she can't legally sign a contract. And just reading through those agreements and partnerships, which I think are for the most part simple. Like you can read a simple agreement and be fine with it. Now, if you're getting into like a much bigger contract, like a massive amount of money, or it's 16 pages long, I would say you need an entertainment attorney to go over that. I'm not at that level, but just helping her out with setting up her different accounts, helping her go through the verification process, which again, I had to research because I'm like, how do you get verified on, and it's different for every platform. And what does it take? What are the requirements? And helping, she has a pretty short attention span. So, it's a process. You've got to print out a lot of articles and take a lot of notes. And yes. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's a lot of the online production area. How about physically? Do you have to travel with her to every job? Or I guess what's
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you'll find, I mean, if you're dealing with a legitimate company, they're not going to allow a minor, and their parent to not be there. Like that's not going to happen, and that shouldn't be happening. So yes, I luckily have a flexible job where I work from home when I'm not traveling. So I can still work when I'm traveling. So I'll use time off to travel with her to LA. And then if she's doing, a modeling day, I'll just work from like the conference room area while she's doing her thing. So I kind of, multitask, I guess you would say, get all that done at the same time. But yes, I'm 100% involved. I help with videos, ordering things for videos, ideas for videos, all that sort of stuff.
So tell me, I mean, growing up, was she always that kind of confident girl? Like, was it not a surprise that she's in this career, or did you kind of have to nurture and give her those confidence?
She was always confident and independent for sure. Now, as far as like what I've had to teach her is how to be more, professional when responding, timelines, deadlines. So and she'll even joke about it. And I know she has in some interviews where it went from being like a fun hobby where it was fun to make a video and I'll just make a video whenever I want, to, okay, well, now she's making money from this and she's signing agreements and there are deadlines. You have to stay organized. You got to pay attention to the details because usually it's like, okay, here's what we want from you, and they list out all the different things, and you can't just do a quick skim of it. Like you've got to double check, triple check, kind of her turning her into an entrepreneur and understanding money, how to balance it, saving versus spending, taxes. Oh my, she told me it was when we first started out, I was explaining the whole taxes to her and she's like, I don't like paying taxes, and I'm like, well, welcome to reality. None of us like paying taxes, but just little things like that where kids don't generally think about that kind of stuff. And I had to really help her understand the mindset of a business versus a hobby. Um, and do you really want to pursue this as a business? Like, is this something you want to do? So
Yeah, and her answer was yes, because I've asked her, and I think she's very
yeah,
passionate.
we have our dates sometimes, yeah, where I'm like, no, you committed to this, or she'll like be rolling her eyes at me, typical teenager type stuff. And, but yes, for the most part, yes, we have our days where.
Yeah, I mean, any business, it takes it's motivation every day. You don't always feel like it, and it's so good that she's learning it at such a young age. That is amazing. And so talk about money as well. Like, I know when I give my kids money, pocket money for their good deeds, and then they end up like wasting it, buying toys, and I'm just like, and they're like, but it's my money, I earned it, right? Or you gave it to me, I can do whatever I want. And so I guess like how do you deal with that in terms of her making money? You're teaching her, and is it, what has been your experience around money with your kids?
Sure. So I think obviously setting up a percentage that works for your family or what you think is okay, and then learning to let go as a mom of whatever we say is her spending money is her spending money. And yes, it does bother me sometimes what she spends her money on. For example, she does a ton of clothing sponsorships, right? Where she gets to pick out the clothes she wants and she's paid, for the videos. And so it bothers me when I see that she's ordered a ton of clothes online, and I'm just like, out of all the things to spend your money on, why are you spending it on more clothes, But I have to kind of take that step back and say, all right, if it's her money and that's the percentage we said that she's allowed to spend, and we know she's saving the other percent, as a mom, I've just kind of, I'll talk to her about it. Like, maybe you don't need to go to McDonald's at lunch with your friends like every single day, like, first of all, that's not healthy, number one, but it's expensive to eat out all the time, so you talk to him about it like as a parent. But I really have tried to take a step back and say, she's almost 17, she's a senior in high school now. If I think she's spending too much in general, then maybe we need to cut that percent back. But otherwise, I try and say it's her spending money. She can spend it how she sees fit. So
I love that tip, actually. I think, I'm going to be talking to my kids and just agree on a percentage. That way it's like we're on the same boat, and I'm not trying to be that bad mom. So thank you for that tip. Okay, so in terms of all these years that you've been on YouTube, you did mention there are a few things like you can turn off your comments and whatever else. I guess, what are some of the tips if, I know personally one of my friend, her children wants to start a YouTube channel. So what are the things to look out for when your kids are launching a YouTube channel?
So I would say, okay, I've got a few major tips. The number one is setting up the rule that you will not respond to negative comments, period. That is a rule. If I catch you doing it, I'll take your passwords away, I'll take you off YouTube, but you threaten them, do whatever you want, just establish that as number one. Like, you can come to me and talk about it. If something hurt your feelings, let's talk about it, but you do not respond negatively. The second and probably the most important thing is, when we agreed to do this, I have passwords to all of her accounts. So, and that may sound normal, but you'd be surprised. And that was a lot easier when she was 12. Now she's almost 17, so she's like, oh, she doesn't want me to see what she's like DMing a boy or something like that. And that's not why I'm on there. I understand she's a 17-year-old girl, senior in high school. I'm not on there to like come down on her for talking to a boy she thinks is cute online. Okay. I'm there to look for inappropriate stuff, inappropriate comments, anything that I need to report, because I don't care if you have 10 followers or you've got 3 million followers. Like, there are predators online, so as a parent, you just have to be aware, and don't be paranoid, but be aware. And also kind of remember, like, when people are always worried about that with social media, like, oh, there's so many predators, why would you put your children out there? It's like, predators at church, there's predators at school, there's predators, at your sports camps and coaches. I mean, it's an unfortunate part of society, and they're everywhere, so number one, online, there's at least a distance and screen between you, but you hear those stories of people getting involved with someone who they think is a young person and it's not. So just making sure that there's not any sort of those inappropriate conversations going on, none of those boundaries being broken. And if you see something where you're like, you need to, that this isn't right, you need to step in and report it or have a conversation with them about it.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important. And it doesn't take very long, even with as many followers as she has. I dedicate maybe 15, 20 minutes a day at the end of the day to just go through, make sure I don't see anything that's like a big red flag. I just make it a kind of my everyday routine.
Gotcha. So with YouTube, you can, as a kids channel, don't you have also the comments off or something? And then later, how is that? How does it work? Yeah.
That's a good question. So it used to be everybody had comments on all the time. Then YouTube went through some issues where in general, there were just minors who were getting predatory comments, creepy comments in their section. And so they turned off comments for all minors for a very long time. To me, that was kind of like they were putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, because why couldn't they stop the predatory comments or the creepy comments instead of take comments away from the influencer? Because that was one main way she could communicate with her,
right. Yeah,
her followers, quick hearting this or, commenting back. So it was a way for them to communicate. And that took a lot of it away, which was, I think, hurtful for the influencer. Since then, they have put comments back on and they have a lot more controls in place. So they also have settings you can put on to automatically block or hold any comments that could be considered inappropriate, just by using like a word bank. You can also add your own words to those filters. Yep. And you can do this on pretty much any social media platform. You can do it for Instagram. You can restrict comments, hide comments. Again, you can put in all kinds of your own keywords, like ugly, if you don't want anyone to use the word ugly. Now, of course, it'll filter out some that you don't mean to filter out. Like if someone's like, "Oh, I love ugly sweater contest day," but, it's gonna hold that comment. So you have to kind of choose your words wisely. But it really has come a long way over the years, and using those filters and the different systems they have in place, especially if it's a child, 100% you need to look into doing.
Yeah. Well, talk about predators. I mean, they can come all shapes and sizes and different age, but we tend to kind of think that the older they are, the more inappropriate they are. One other question I have for you is, if I have older men, let's call it, they are just a fan and they might be following my daughter's page, but they're not doing anything bad. They're just liking or saying a supportive message and never been inappropriate. If you were me, would you block them, or would you just allow that they can appreciate the content? It's a tough question.
No, it's actually, it's something that I have also wondered, where you kind of or you'll go in and you'll look and you'll be like, well, who do they follow? Is it all young girls? You know what I mean? Like, is that, so I kind of do a little bit of my own research. Like if you read something and it makes like the hair on the back of your neck stand up, like intuition, yes, block them right away. And that's just like mother's intuition, right? Sometimes I don't like I'll see where they maybe don't say anything outright wrong, but it's like rose emojis and clearly the guy's like in his 60s and like hard eyes, or so again, it really just depends on what the comment is or what they're saying, who they're following. If you have any doubt, I would block them.
So do it just to kind of like sense it and feel if it's inappropriate, then do. But you can't really just, it's not a guarantee.
Block someone for being appreciative of like a post either, though. You know what I mean? Because there's, just because you're older or you're a man doesn't automatically make you a creepy pedophile. You know what I mean? But if we're gonna like look at statistics, I would say that those, an older male age group or age range would be like a category I would pay maybe closer attention to.
Gotcha.
And usually I would say that a lot of the people who are going to end up the creepy ones that you're going to want to block are sending things through like a direct message, not necessarily on like a public post, because other people will call them out. You will find that too, is if a guy leaves something really creepy on Makenna's page, like you'll see her followers, going like,
yeah,
you're a creep, she's 16, or like,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So they're very reluctant to put anything online that is going to be public. If they really are truly inappropriate, you're going to find that more behind the scenes. So I would
Very
watch that.
interesting. Yeah, that's a really great logic there. So in terms of working with your daughter in the last 5 years, I guess, what tips do you have around working arrangement, partnership, like what's your boundary? How do you work each day without fighting too much?
Sure. So it's not always, beautiful and perfect and fun. And it is fighting sometimes. And I think what we decided works best for us is I sat down and said, okay, what is a reasonable schedule for you? Like if you want to run this as a business and you want me to invest my time and, my money and my, when I take off time from work to go to California with you, it's like, I need a commitment from you too. So let's decide together what an appropriate commitment from you looks like, so is it 2 videos a week, 3 videos? And you kind of just set up like, what's not going to be overwhelming. She likes to have specific film days and edit days. And then she likes her days off. You know what I mean? But I make her stick to what the commitment was. Like I didn't set the rules. I let her make them. And then I hold her to them. So that has kind of been a way that we got around like the fighting, or it's like, I thought you said you were going to film that one, remember? And it's like, oh yeah, well, I was going to do it tomorrow. It's like, no. Now we know how many videos per week, the days she films on, that kind of thing. We kind of set it up as like a routine. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that answers. And also, I guess, do you have clear role? Is like, are you the project manager and she's a creative director? Or I guess, do you define certain roles so that you don't also argue on, different opinion over the work?
We work together a lot. Sometimes she has her own fun, cool ideas. When she first started, it's like, or when people start in social media, you don't ever want to just copy other people's content. You want to watch trends, and then you want to put like your own cool like spin or twist on it. You know what I mean? So you're being unique, because technically when it comes down to it, everything's already been done. You know what I mean? So you'll get a lot of, I know on TikTok, which she's not very big on TikTok, but it's like, oh, they want you to credit whose dance it was. And it's like, credit this, or give, this person and that person. And it's like, when she first started, I'm like, don't get like crazy about it. Like if you find a really unique idea and you want to say, oh, I actually like got this idea from so-and-so, you want to give credit that way. But as far as the ideas for the videos, we work together on that. We work together on like the funny role plays she does. She edits her own videos. Like she always has enjoyed doing that. And then I usually will just double check anything that's sponsored for appropriate, wording and verbiage and tags and all the details that they wanted us to use. Like I print them out for her so she knows what to mention or say or do any like text overlay. And then I'll help with the description box or like final submission for payment and things like that. So I'm more on like the financial side of it and like the behind the scenes, and she likes to be more of the creative person. So
it sounds just like a mother's instinct when it comes to your partnership. You kind of know where to help and where to kind of proactively do things for her. It just sounds like a perfect match made in heaven. Finally, I have the last question for you is, what do you hope for her future? Where do you see her future from here?
Well, she's got a year of high school left, which I cannot believe it. They always say it goes so fast, and it really does. Ultimately, I just want her to continue to be like a happy, healthy person, a productive member of society, doing something that she loves. I know she wants a family and kids. You would think back in the day, like college is always on the list, right? You want your kids to go to college. And it was that way for a long time. I'm not 100% sure I feel that strongly about it anymore, because times have changed. Back in the day, who would have thought you could make a living, a good living, by doing social media. I mean, it
Doing
was
something you love, yeah, like you do it
it's
naturally, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like, no, everybody has to go to college, or you're going to end up regretting it. But now, I mean, there's, 2-year schools, there's trades that you can do, there's social media. So there's modeling. I mean, there's other ways to be successful in life. So I want to continue to support her in whatever path she decides to take, but just continuing to be a humble person, a good, caring person, which she is. She is a loving, caring person. I hope she stays close to God and is just, as successful in her future as she is today, and as happy as she is in her future. If she can stay happy, that's all that matters. So
That's beautiful. That's such an inspiring message to end the show today, because yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, we want to encourage our kids to follow their heart and not be so forceful into finishing school and be so academic like the past. So thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm glad that I hear the word God as well. I too love God. I was recently a converted a Christian. So thank you so much for being on the show, Nicole.
thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've gained a lot of insights, because I personally have, because I too have a daughter that I'm trying to also help to nurture and build up an audience on Instagram or on other social media channel. And so it was really useful for me to get to know some of the things to look out for. Well, I'd love to hear in the comments below what questions you have for Nicole or any topic suggestions you have for Start Young. But otherwise, I'll see you again in the next episode.